Okay, guys, I got a video game idea. It's called Beat Up, and it's a beat 'em up style retro game. So the story is this dweeb with an office job. He's stuck in traffic. I'm gonna read through my notes a little bit, but when he's stuck in traffic, and he says, "When I woke up today, I was not a legend. I'm a desk jockey stuck in traffic with a dead-end job and a dream covered in dust. I do not know anyone who does not deserve a severe beating." So this guy he gets to work. Everyone's polite to him. His co-workers greet him. People are smiling at him. His boss thanks him for something he did yesterday. But this guy is just glaring, enraged. He says, "Do you see how they treat me? How they look down on me?" Finally, he gets like a Super Saiyan glow. You know, there's the fire and lightning all around him. And he says, "I'll never back down when others push me around. From now on, I'll punch, kick, and destroy anyone who tries to shit on me. This is my dream." So then his shirt explodes off of him, and he starts attacking everyone. And then this is when the real game begins. Basically, you have to fight your own office workers. Some of them are they're trying to escape from you, but you get bonus points if you can stop a runner. And you're punching and kicking all these people. You can pick up like chairs and staplers and use them as weapons. At the end, that's just the first stage. At the end of the first stage, you confront your boss, and you punch him and kick him a few times, and he's like, "Why are you doing this? You're a monster." And then he's like, "Okay, I'll make a deal with you. If you let me live." He says, "If you don't beat me up, I'll let you run the company. I'll give you all my stock in the company. It's yours. But in exchange, you can never ever punch or kick anyone ever again." So then you get to make a choice in the game. This is the only part of the game where you get to make a choice. You can either accept your boss's offer or reject it. If you accept his offer, you get one of the endings to the game. It's the bad ending. It shows a picture of you. You're successful. You're standing in front of your nice 2-story house with your attractive wife. You got kids and dogs, and everyone's smiling and happy. Even you're smiling and happy too. But the words on the screen says, "You live happily ever after as a mediocre nobody. You have failed at life. Game over." But then if you reject your boss's deal, your character says, "Your deal sounds like a piece of shit. I think it's time we flushed it." And then he punches his boss in the head so hard that his head explodes in like just a tidal wave of gore. And then he kicks his boss in the chest. His ribs explode. His body flies through the window. It drops several stories. It gets impaled on something. I don't know. Your character is like standing at the broken window looking down at his boss's body. And he's like, "This is my dream." Then the second stage, it shows like a family reunion. While you're not there, all your family members are talking about how proud they are of you because you got a job, you're working hard, he's doing good in life, he's got his own apartment. Then your character arrives. He's enraged. He slams the door of his car. He's still shirtless. He runs up to his family and he starts fighting them. So that's the second stage. You're fighting your family, the people who love you. By now you can see the pattern of this game is like this guy is beating up people who should not really be beaten up. This guy thinks he's a victim. Really, he's not. He's just kind of an angry loser, but he's taking it out on everyone around him. I wrote a note here. I wrote, "He is lost in his own labyrinth of hateful projections, and he must follow through with his delusional spiritual journey." I mean, we've all done this though. So then, after the second stage, when he beats up his family, he goes home to his apartment and he sets fire to it. And he's walking around in his apartment while it's on fire. And then he sees fire trucks roll up. People are screaming. firemen hop out. Some of them are carrying axes, and he's enraged because it's like, why are these people with axes coming to attack me? I have to beat them all up. So then in the third stage, you're fighting through your burning apartment building, fighting firemen. Then a bunch of rubble falls on the guy, knocks him out. He wakes up in the hospital. I think this is the fourth stage. He's in the hospital. He sees nurses and doctors all around him. They don't know that he's the guy who's been doing all this stuff. So they're trying to save his life. They're sticking IVs in him. The main character is enraged that they would do this to him. So he gets up. He starts fighting back. He's punching and kicking doctors and nurses, throwing them across the room, picking them up by the ankles and wishboning them. He's a typhoon of destruction. At the end of that stage, a policeman knocks him out. Fifth stage, the guy is in a coma or whatever. He has a hallucinogenic dream journey where he's on the moon and he's fighting what looks like doctors, nurses, family members, office workers. It looks like reused assets from earlier in the game, but then they mutate into like meat monsters, and he's fighting all these monsters in his own dream world. The boss of that stage is himself from earlier in the game when he was in his office clothes with his little tie on, but the office worker version of him is like, he crawls around on all fours. Sometimes he crawls backwards with his butt in the air. Okay, and then sixth stage, he wakes up. He's in prison. He's already in general population. I don't know how that works, but he's wearing the orange uniform and everything. He's there with a bunch of other prisoners. One of the prisoners comes up to him and says, "You need to speak to the big man. I'm going to take you to him." I wrote this part down. I'm going to read my notes. The protagonist, your character, he responds by saying that anyone who wants to talk to him can jam an entire foot into their own mouth because he has no time to talk to spineless weaklings. And if they cannot find a foot to do this on their own, then he will present them with his own foot in order to facilitate this process. So basically another fight starts out. Your character's fighting hardened criminals. Then the cops come out in like riot gear. He's fighting all them too. Then finally, after you beat up everyone who stands in your way, you come to the final boss. He's just a prisoner in a prison cell, but it's your own father. He looks like your character, but older, more grizzled. And he tells you that he used to be a lot like you, fighting everyone around him in order to protect his dream or his inner child or whatever it is. And he's trying to explain the way of the warrior, but your character says he has no patience to sit around and listen to some old man. He wishes he could invent a time machine and go back in time and be his own father, but then again, he's not some egghead twerp who has the time and inclination to make a time machine, so all he can do is beat the crap out of his own father right here and now. So then the fight begins, and it's brutal. They're both smashing each other's heads into the wall, rubble's flying everywhere. It is sickeningly violent, but in the end you win. So then you get the victory screen. It's just the main character sitting in a darkened cell, scowling in anger, and there's text on the screen that says, "You are the hardest motherfucker in the universe. You win." Alright, so that's my video game idea for a game called Beat Up. If anyone wants to make it, go for it. Let's make it happen.